Management of change. Managing change requirements effectively. The management of change concept is defining, developing, and adopting organizational strategies, plans, resources, policies, procedures, and technologies to manage change opportunities based on external conditions and/or internally driven opportunities for improvement. External conditions may include a change in customer requirements or a change in critical supplier. Internally driven opportunities may include a change in the design of a product based on a corrective action or a recognized opportunity for improvement. The organization has the responsibility to ensure that the integrity of the quality management system, or QMS, and organizational continuity is maintained when changes are planned and implemented. MOC is applicable to any of the QMS processes that may impact the effectiveness of the quality management system, product delivery, or product quality. Neither API Q1 nor ISO 9001-2015 require a documented management of change procedure. However, each quality management system standard requires the organization to manage and make provision for managing different types of change. API Specification Q1 states, the organization shall maintain a process for MOC, or management of change. The organization shall ensure the integrity of the quality management system is maintained when changes to the quality management system are planned and implemented. Q1 further states, the organization shall identify the potential risks associated with the change and any required approvals prior to the introduction of such changes. The organization shall maintain records of MOC activities. Q1 continues, the organization shall use the MOC process for any of the following that may negatively impact the quality of the product: changes in organizational structure, changes in key or essential personnel, changes in critical supplier, changes to the management system procedures including changes resulting from corrective and preventive actions. Q1 also states, the organization shall notify relevant personnel, including the customer when required by contract, of the change in residual or new risk due to changes that have either been initiated by the organization or requested by the customer. ISO 9001-2015 does not specifically call out management of change. However, managing change is associated with several quality management system requirements as shown on the following slides. Section 8.2.4 Changes to requirements of products and services. The organization shall ensure that relevant documented information is amended and that relevant persons are made aware of the changed requirements when the requirements for products and services are changed. Section 8.2.4 is associated with change opportunities while determining customer requirements. Translated, ISO 9001-2015, Section 8.2.4 refers to managing changes when product or service requirements, whether determined by the customer or the organization, have been changed. Section 5.1.3 Review of Requirements. Where contract requirements are changed, the organization shall ensure that relevant documents are amended and that relevant personnel are made aware of the changed requirements. API Q1 5.1.3 addresses changes associated with product or customer requirements similar to the requirements of ISO 9001-2015 Section 8.2.4. Essentially, when contract requirements are changed, they must be managed, documented, and communicated effectively. For example, a customer places an order for a 200-barrel mix tank and changes the order based on operational needs to a 300-barrel mix tank. The organization must then communicate the change and manage any associated changes arising from the customer request. Changes may include purchasing requirements or drawing revisions. Change management includes documenting the new requirement and communicating it to relevant personnel. ISO 9001-2015, Section 8.3.6 Design and Development Changes. The organization shall identify, review, and control changes made during or subsequent to the design and development of products and services, to the extent necessary to ensure that there is no adverse impact on conformity to requirements. The organization shall retain documented information on design and development changes, the results of reviews, the authorization of the changes, and the actions taken to prevent adverse impacts. 8.3.6 translated: when there is a change during the design of products and services, the organization shall ensure that changes are controlled in such a manner that only relevant and accurate information is passed throughout the organization, meaning past design requirements are identified and protected from inadvertent distribution, while only the most recently approved information is communicated or distributed. Design and development changes means documented changes to product and/or service documents, or design outputs such as technical data and drawings. The reference of results of reviews means design and development reviews shall be accomplished prior to release to product realization. Also, changes to design and development must be reviewed with those reviews being documented. The authorization of the changes. To ensure the organization does not make unnecessary changes to design and development, the changes must be authorized, with the authorization being documented by a relevant authority. Actions taken to prevent adverse impacts. Changes to design and development must be managed in such a manner that they prevent adverse impacts. Adverse impacts may include, for example, not meeting customer requirements because of a change not being managed effectively, or information passed on to the organization that has not been approved by a relevant authority. Q1, Section 5.4.7, Design and Development Changes. API Specification Q1 includes the requirements of ISO 9001-2015 with the following additions. Changes shall be approved before implemented. An evaluation of product already in the field shall be considered when making a design and development change. The approvals and controls for design and development shall be the same as the original design, and records of changes, reviews, and necessary actions shall be maintained. ISO 9001-2015, Section 8.5.6, Control of Changes for Product Realization. The organization shall review and control changes for production and service provision to the extent necessary to ensure continuing conformity with the requirements. The organization shall retain documented information describing the results of the review of changes, the persons authorizing the change, and any necessary actions arising from the review. What 8.56 really means is, when changes are made during the product realization process, the organization shall ensure that the changes have been reviewed, approved, and the release of information controlled. Types of change. Management of change is the manner in which the organization recognizes, addresses, documents, and processes opportunities for improvement. The organization shall use the MOC process for change to any of the following at a minimum that have a potentially negative impact on product quality and/or product delivery. Design or engineering for products and services. The MOC process should be initiated for design or engineering changes made as a result of recognized opportunities for improvement while products are in the product realization process, existing product designs already in the field, and to address discovered nonconformances. Engineering change processed through the MOC module may be supported by or managed with other change management programs such as the ECO function in Vault. Project management. Changes to active projects should be managed in the MOC module. Examples of this would include change in delivery, changes to customer or product requirements, or product changes requiring input from multiple departments that could potentially affect the product outcome or the organization's ability to meet customer requirements. Organizational changes. Positions added to the existing organizational structure that may influence the manner of operation. Positions eliminated that influence the organization's operation where duties and responsibilities may have to be reassigned. Changes in key or essential personnel. MOC should be initiated when personnel are assigned to new positions. Personnel with a great deal of experience are replaced by someone with lesser experience in that position, or there are unexpected reductions or additions to the workforce. Changes in critical suppliers. MOC should be initiated in the event a supplier is unable to perform to an unacceptable level or is unable to continue offering the product or service and a replacement must be found. Note, poor supplier performance may be corrected through nonconformance reporting or corrective action. In such cases, an MOC should be initiated to find a new supplier in the event performance or product does not improve. Procedural change. Procedural change is perhaps the most difficult type of change to manage because it is oftentimes difficult to determine the scope of the procedural change. An MOC should be initiated when input from multiple organizational sources is required to enact a procedural change. Other procedural change elements may be effectively managed in the QMS Document Management Module. When the organization is presented with a management of change opportunity, the primary tool is the Management of Change module, located in the Dell Corporation intranet site. To access the Management of Change module, simply open the Dell Corporation intranet site and select the Management of Change module link. Select New to initiate an MOC opportunity. When initiating an MOC, fill in the job number and customer as applicable, initiated by. From the drop-down, select the reason for change, and then include a brief description in the summary field. If you know who you want to approve the MOC, select that individual using the address book. If you do not know, select OK and the MOC will go to the quality manager for further processing. Further processing includes task assignments and details and include due dates for specific tasks. Tasks will be assigned based on the nature of the change opportunity. Next, we'll go through some key MOC elements. Accurately identify the goal for change. Setting a nebulous goal makes MOC an arduous and an ineffective process. The key to success for any management of change opportunity is to accurately identify the ultimate goal of the proposed change and what is to be accomplished by making that change. The proposed change should be specific in nature. Accurately identifying the change opportunity is very similar to identifying the corrective action based on the root cause of a nonconformance. If the root cause is not accurately identified, then the change will not have the desired result and/or effectiveness, and the likelihood for resolution is reduced significantly. Identify the required levels of responsibility. Anyone in an organization may propose a change to a process, procedure, or product. It is important and critical to the success of any organization that personnel feel that their input is important regarding opportunities for improvement. However, it is equally important to identify who the responsible authority for an MOC opportunity is. That person will likely change based on the discipline being addressed. For example, quality would be the responsible authority for matters pertaining to procedural issues, where engineering would be the authority for changes in equipment design. So while anyone may suggest a change, it is important that the change is not enacted without input and approval from relevant authorities. Assemble an MOC team. It is extremely rare for an organization to have one individual who knows absolutely everything about every facet of a particular discipline. Even if an organization has just such a person, it is really of no benefit to the organization to rely solely on that one person. Relying on one person does not promote growth, nor does it promote professional development within the organization. Assemble an MOC team. It is vitally important to select an MOC team to bring objectivity to each MOC opportunity and to include people across several relevant disciplines. Perhaps the most important reason to assemble an MOC team is to create an environment that promotes multidisciplinary dialogue. It is necessary when evaluating each change opportunity because it brings objectivity and a greater attention to detail to each MOC. It is also essential to develop an MOC team to effectively process each change opportunity. The relevant authority for an MOC may assign tasks to personnel to evaluate the proposed change and ultimately enact the change. The team may have only a few members, but involve as many people as required to address the MOC effectively. Try not to involve too many people on the team, as it may have a potentially negative effect on productivity. When selecting members of the MOC team, keep in mind the following factors. Select team members from different but complementary disciplines. Each team member must be competent in their respective discipline and knowledgeable about the proposed change. Select members that have a positive influence on the group dynamic. What's the risk? There's an old adage that states, where there is turmoil, there is growth, and change is almost associated with turmoil within an organization. This turmoil is only compounded when people are informed of a change or a proposed change, only to have the decision reversed, or even worse, the details of the proposed change have been revised while in process. The pains or turmoil associated with potential change can be minimized very early in the MOC process by asking and developing the answer to the following two questions. What is the risk of making the proposed change? And what is the risk of not making the proposed change? After asking and developing these two questions, the MOC team will be able to determine whether they are moving forward with the proposed change or reevaluating the need for the proposed change. In reality, the organization is making a commitment, committing to the ideal of change or making a commitment to remain with the status quo. Change will either have a positive effect, thus improving a process, or it will not improve the process and must be reevaluated. Either way, the direction has been determined and demonstrated to the organization. Whatever determination is made, the organization is committed to moving forward, and in doing so, reduces the potential for the process of change to negatively affect the organization. Identifying the potential risks is the first point in the MOC process where a move forward or a status quo decision can be made. There's always risk in change, but the single most important question to ask when determining risk is, will the potential change improve the process, procedure, and/or product? Mitigating risks. Risk mitigation is the process by which an organization plans and introduces specific measures to minimize or eliminate identified unacceptable risks. Risk mitigation activities can be directed towards reducing the severity of risk or reducing the organization's exposure to the risk. Some identified risks may be considered acceptable and require minor or no mitigation other than communication of the potential risk to the organization. Approve and document. MOC approvals are accomplished in the MOC module on the Dell intranet and/or the ECO module in Inventor. Once an MOC opportunity has been initiated, it is either approved or disapproved by a subject matter expert. If approved, a responsible authority will be selected based on the discipline addressed and tasks will be assigned towards resolution. If disapproved, the reason for the rejection will be documented in the module. Approvals and disapprovals alike will be documented within the module and maintained as record. Relevant authorities for MOC are generally considered department heads of the affected discipline. In the event that they are not available in an acceptable time frame, a secondary authority may be delegated as long as they are qualified to make decisions. Documentation of MOC opportunities is critical to successful resolution and communication of MOC outcomes. Each step of the MOC process is documented within the MOC module. The MOC process is ever evolving, with each action having a direct impact on the next, with the possibility that it may influence previous steps. As conditions change, assignment tasks may be readjusted to more accurately reflect the resolute direction of the MOC. Documenting MOC steps or tasks allows the organization to build a lessons learned historical database. Communicate. Effective communication substantially increases any organization's chance of being successful. Conversely, poor or ineffective communication can seriously undermine any organization's attempt at success. This is particularly true when it comes to developing an MOC opportunity. It is important for the organization to determine what the ultimate goal is for any change. It is equally important that each associated step or task towards implementation is effectively communicated as well. Without effective communication, the process becomes less efficient, meaning the intent becomes less clear, and although success may be achieved, there is a cost. The cost associated with inefficiency, lost time, and an increase in waste adversely affects the bottom line. On an even larger scale, ineffective communication, which translates to ineffective management of change, could damage the organization's reputation and relationship with its customers, and again negatively impact the bottom line. Great ideas with the best intent never come to fruition without thoroughly communicating the details of change throughout the organization. Each phase of the MOC process, including each task, is documented in the Management of Change module. Supporting documentation for each MOC should be uploaded to ensure proper communication and transparency of the process. As a general rule for MOC, all relevant documentation for MOC opportunities should be maintained as record and made available to promote effective processing of the proposed change. Perhaps the most important thing in effectively communicating throughout the MOC process is to default back to the person responsible for the MOC, should there be an issue. It happens far too often that during the MOC process, direction is given to personnel to effect the proposed change by someone not considered responsible or the relevant authority. The ultimate success of the MOC opportunity may be seriously compromised when too many people are in charge and pass on information that may conflict with the planned arrangements of the MOC process. Confirm effectiveness. Confirming that an MOC opportunity is effective is perhaps the single most important aspect in the MOC process. The organization must verify that the proposed change worked as intended. Not all changes yield the intended results, and some may result in unintended or often undesirable consequences. It is important to determine how effectiveness will be measured in the very earliest stages of the MOC process. Simply determining what the intended end result of the MOC is and how it can be measured for effectiveness is critical to success. If the change is not yielding the intended results, there are two different options. Abort the process and revert back to the way it was prior to implementing the change, or reevaluate the ultimate goal and initiate a new MOC opportunity. The process becomes ineffective if the planned arrangements are changed on the fly and may end in results outside the scope of the approved MOC. The MOC does not give the organization license to experiment until the desired results are achieved. It is a planned and controlled process with the end results confirmed to be as intended. Management of change made simple. This quality management system presentation contains a great deal of information about the API and ISO requirements for managing change effectively, as well as MOC concepts and practices. While this information is important, MOC can be made simple and effective using the MOC module in SharePoint. Just keep in mind a few things when determining whether or not to implement an MOC. If a change opportunity comes up and needs to be communicated throughout the organization, or requires input from multiple people to evaluate and enact the change, initiate an MOC. If there is a change that affects or potentially affects a process, product, or the manner in which the organization operates, initiate an MOC. And keep in mind it's important to identify the ultimate goal of the MOC. What is the expected end result? What are the risks associated with the MOC, and are those risks worth enacting change? The only way to truly assess the risk of a proposed change is to initiate an MOC and consider all the facts. And finally, MOC should not be looked at as yet another API or ISO requirement the organization has to be in conformance with. MOC promotes communication and a better understanding of the risk associated with enacting change or not enacting change. Better communication translates to a more effective way of doing things and providing our customers a better product. Managing change can be a daunting task. It can be difficult when too many people are involved, but can be equally as difficult when not enough or the right people are involved. Just remember to identify the true objective of the MOC opportunity, define the tasks associated with the opportunity, use the tools developed by the organization, and communicate every step of the way. If you have any questions about this or any other quality management system requirement, please come in and see me to discuss it or send an email to danny@delltank.com. Thanks again for your continued support and contribution to the Dell Corporation Quality Management System.